Today we're reading Toy Story, A Fine Feathered Friend. This is from the Toy Story Storybook Collection.
Fine Feathered Friend.
A Fine Feathered Friend. Let's begin. Says, Woody the Cowboy was watching TV one morning while Andy was at school. His favorite show, Woody's Roundup, was on. He liked to watch himself, his horse Bullseye, Jessie the Cowgirl, and the old prospector rustle up some adventures in the Old West. In the town of the Dry Gulch, Sheriff Woody was repainting the old jailhouse. He was always looking for ways to spruce up the town. A large drop of paint dripped off his brush. "Look out, Bullseye," Woody called to the horse. Splat! Bullseye looked up just as the paint landed on his forehead. He whinnied. "Sorry, fella."
What is a jailhouse?
It's, well, Woody's a sheriff, so if he catches bad guys, they go to the jailhouse. So they can't stay out and do bad things, you know? Since he's a sheriff, he's in charge of it. "Sorry, fella," Woody said as he climbed down from the ladder. He pulled out his handkerchief and wiped off the paint. Bullseye whinnied again and stomped the ground. "Not today, partner," Woody said. "I've got to finish painting, and then I'm helping Miss Tilly with her errands."
Who is Miss Tilly?
"I do not know." Bullseye snorted. Most mornings, he and Woody worked together. They rode out to Rattlesnake Ridge to round up cattle rustlers, or they would patrol the town watching for bandits. But lately it seemed like Woody was too busy to work with a partner. Bullseye decided to go find Jessie. She always had time for fun. He heard Jessie's yodel-hey-hoo as he trotted over. She was feeding peanuts to a squirrel. "Howdy, Bullseye," she said. Bullseye walked over to Jessie. He bent his front leg so she'd climb up on his back. "Oh, sorry, Bullseye," she said. "I promised to help this little guy gather nuts for his friends. Some other time, fella." Bullseye started walking back to town. He caught up to the prospector, who was pushing a brand new wheelbarrow. Bullseye whinnied. "Hee hee, hello there, Bullseye," the prospector said, chuckling. Bullseye stopped and stomped his hoof on the ground. The prospector usually asked Bullseye to bring his gold mining pans down to the river. Bullseye hoped he would give him a load to carry. But the prospector kept walking along. "I'm going to find enough gold to fill this here wheelbarrow," he said. Bullseye sadly lowered his head and munched some grass. He felt very lonely. Suddenly he saw something sitting among the weeds. It was a brown speckled egg. Bullseye looked around for a mother hen, but there wasn't anyone in sight. He found an old basket by the side of the road and nudged the egg inside. Holding the handle between his teeth, he walked very slowly back to town. "What a cute little hen's egg," Jessie said when Bullseye passed by her. Bullseye swished his tail happily and trotted into the barn. Jessie followed him. Bullseye put down the basket and grabbed a mouthful of hay for the nest. "It's hard work to help an egg hatch," Jessie said. "You'll have to keep it warm and watch out for snakes and raccoons. Then when the chick hatches, you'll have to care for it like it's a real mom. Do you think you can do it?" Just then, Woody and the prospector walked into the barn. "Bullseye found an egg," Jessie said. "He's building a nest, and he's going to help it hatch." Woody smiled and patted Bullseye on the back. "That sounds like a great idea," he said. But the prospector wasn't so sure. "Who ever heard of a horse hatching an egg?" he said. "It's plain old foolishness if you ask me." Woody pulled Jessie and the prospector aside. "I think Bullseye's been a little lonely lately," he whispered. "This will cheer him up." Jessie nodded. "It'll be a good thing to keep him busy," she agreed. Bullseye cared for the egg just like a mother hen. He tucked hay around it to keep it warm. He stayed up all night to chase away raccoons and snakes. He wouldn't leave the egg for a minute. Finally, one afternoon, Bullseye heard a tapping sound. Tap, tap, tap. It was the egg. He watched it closely. Tap, tap, tap. A little beak poked through the eggshell. Then, crick, crack, the egg broke open. A tiny yellow chick with spots on its back stood where the speckled egg once sat. Bullseye whinnied so loudly.
There's a bean guy. Bullseye the bad guy?
I don't think that's a bad guy. Let's read along. Bullseye whinnied so loudly that Woody jumped out of his sheriff's chair. The prospector was so startled he fell into the stream while panning for gold. Jessie missed the cow she was trying to rope and lassoed the mailman instead. That's a mailman she accidentally lassoed. Not a bad guy. They all rushed to the barn. "He's a handsome little fella," Jessie said when she saw the chick in the nest. "Oh, horse feathers," the prospector said. "Who ever heard of a horse hatching an egg?" Woody laughed. "Wait a minute. Horse feathers. That's a great name." "Nay," Bullseye whinnied. The chick looked up at the horse and opened his beak and said, "Nay." Everywhere Bullseye went, horse feathers followed. He perched proudly on top of Bullseye's head as they walked around the town. All the folks in the dry gulch liked to see the horse and the chick together.
Then my finger hurts.
"Howdy, Bullseye," they'd call out cheerfully. "Howdy, horse feathers." "Nay," Bullseye and the chick would answer together. Horse feathers tried copying everything Bullseye did. He tried sleeping standing up, but he fell in a heap in his nest. He ate hay just like a horse. Even though it didn't taste very good to him, he learned how to trot and gallop like a horse. One afternoon, Bullseye and Horse Feathers met Woody and Jessie at the corral. Horse Feathers trotted around the ring after Bullseye. Soon the two friends started playing tag. Bullseye trotted after the little chick and touched his tail with his nose. Then Horse Feathers said nay, and Bullseye chased until he could pull his tail with his beak. The prospector arrived just in time to see Horse Feathers bucking like a bronco. "Yee-haw!" he cried. "Let's enter Horse Feathers into the Dry Gulch Rodeo." Jessie looked worried, though. "Horse Feathers should be learning how to be a chicken, not a horse," she said quietly to Woody. Woody rubbed his chin. "Maybe it's time to find out if Horse Feathers has a mom nearby." Jessie watched the two friends whinny as they chased each other. Then she nodded slowly. "Maybe we should look for a mom," she said sadly. "But I haven't got the heart to do it." Early the next morning, Horse Feathers hopped onto Bullseye's head. "Nay," he chirped. Bullseye opened his eyes. It was still dark outside, but the little chick was waking up earlier and hungrier each day. Bullseye grunted. Then he got up and led Horse Feathers outside to find some breakfast. While Bullseye chased a little green worm, Horse Feathers wandered off pecking the dirt. A dark shadow flew over him, then circled back. When Horse Feathers looked up, he saw a hawk swooping down toward him. Horse Feathers tried to gallop away, but the hawk was gaining on him. Suddenly, the little chick heard the sound of thundering hooves. "Nay!" Bullseye whinnied as he raced between the hawk and the chick. He reared and whinnied as the hawk flew off screeching. Jessie and Woody ran over, having heard all the noise. Jessie scooped the little chick up in her arms. "That was close," she said to Bullseye. "You shouldn't leave Horse Feathers alone out here." "You've done a fine job, partner," Woody told his horse. "But raising a chicken is a little odd. Horse Feathers needs to be with his real family." Bullseye snorted. He bent down for the little chick to hop on top of his head. Then he and Horse Feathers walked away from Woody and Jessie. "I didn't mean to hurt his feelings," Woody said to Jessie. Then they followed Bullseye down the road. Just then, Bullseye paused to let a mother hen and her chicks pass by. Woody and Jessie came to a stop beside him. They watched the chicks follow their mom, chirping all the way. Woody looked at Horse Feathers, who was perched on top of Bullseye's head. The little chick didn't seem to notice the others at all. Then Woody heard the strangest sound. Beep, beep, beep. It was Horse Feathers. For the first time, the little chick had chirped like a chicken. Bullseye leaned down and Horse Feathers hopped to the ground. The little chick looked at the hen. Bullseye nudged Horse Feathers with his nose. Then the hen spotted Horse Feathers. "Bawk!" she squawked. Horse Feathers ran over to his mother, and she tucked him under her wing. "Nay," Bullseye called out his goodbye. "Nay," Horse Feathers chirped back, and he walked off with his mother, brothers and sisters. One morning, the whole gang went to visit Horse Feathers at the chicken coop. Bullseye was excited about seeing his friend. When they reached the pen, Woody called out, "Howdy, folks!" A few speckled chickens looked over. "I can't tell which one is Horse Feathers," the prospector said. Bullseye whinnied. Suddenly, a handsome rooster dashed out of the chicken house and galloped around the other birds. That's Horse Feathers, Jesse pointed out. He's one unique bird, Woody said, shaking his head. And Bullseye is one unique
Feathers.
horse. And Bullseye is one unique horse, Jessie added. She gave Bullseye a hug. Good job, partner.
Dad, Horse Feathers.
Yep, there he is. Got bigger. He's a rooster. Well, that's the end of A Fine Feathered Friend. Thanks for reading with us, and hope you have a great day.
Let's go to the beginning.